Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with us to learn and grow and get better, because that's what we do every day inside of Pivot Shift Ahead, and what we're going to do today as well. And I love talking to agents who are accomplishing great things, especially in this market. Look, the last few years, home sales have been flat and down. Inventory is rising. It's just been a little bit tougher for people to hit their goals, but there are some agents out there who are absolutely dominating. And Robin is one of them, because here you are, it's the summer of 2025, and you've already sold as many homes this year as you did all of last year. You're on pace to double, maybe even more. So I'm really proud of you. Would you introduce yourself to us? Tell us who you are and where you are and a little bit about you.
Thank you, James. Yes, I'm Robin Perron. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. And the reason why I'm here today is based on the Pivot Shift call that I'm on every morning, and also my market center. I cannot say enough. I am thankful for Keller Williams.
You have an elite market center in Wilmington. Manda and Ladd and everybody there does amazing stuff. It's elite. And then what you're doing is elite as well, which I'm really excited about it. You say you're on the pivot calls every day. Tell me why. Why are you on our free call?
Oh, well, gosh, 2-3 months after I started with Keller Williams, I heard about the call and I jumped on. And, I'm an 8-year agent. And so 5 years later, I found Keller Williams, and that call has almost single-handedly changed my career. So that's why I'm on the call. The information that is shared, agent to agent, the little nuggets every single day that agents are talking about, just real life things that are happening, good, bad, let's recover. That is why I'm on the call.
Well, I love that. Now, one of the distractions that can come from that is it's a buffet of ideas, right? I joke that you come in and you can't, it's like going to Golden Corral, and you have all these choices and you got to kind of figure out what it is that you want. And that can be distracting at times. And that was the case for you, right? Some of the times that you'd get on the call and here's an idea, and here's an idea, and here's an idea, and you were chasing until you kind of figured out what you wanted to do. Tell me how you realized you were chasing before you started to get a little bit more narrow.
Because I have a book full of nuggets, and it was driving me crazy. I was exhausted. I was nonstop running, and I realized, like, okay, I can't keep chasing the next shiny object. I need to figure out what's going to work for me. And truth be told, it didn't happen until this year. So I want to say it was around April or May, and I was getting burnt out because, again, this is a record-breaking year for me, and I've hit numbers that I've never seen before in 8 years of real estate. And I had to slow down and figure out what I was going to focus on. So I was like, okay, where am I getting all of my business? Because I keep hearing about everybody's struggling and that numbers are down. And I'm on the flip side of that, looking at numbers that I've never seen before. And I was like, okay, let's pay attention to where am I getting my business from? I have a client who gifted me with a realtor logbook, and I still have it. And I was like, everybody I've worked with, I have an Excel spreadsheet. Everybody I've worked with, I either worked with, they knew me from the community, they knew me from my volunteer projects, and it was just word of mouth. So that's when I decided I needed to slow down and stop chasing all of the pennies and focus on the people who were taking care of me.
It's a really smart thing, and I'm proud of you for doing that. When you get on a call like what we do every day, we're going to share a lot of ideas because different things work for different people. And I love that you didn't pull out of the community. You didn't step away from the community. You just said, I need to pay attention to what's for me and what's not for me. And you had the resource and the tool to go back and say, here's where the business was coming from. So now you know how to pay attention and what to implement.
Right.
And you say yours comes from people you know in the community. And what you're saying is you're getting more narrow there. Well, tell me how. How are you getting super hyper focused on people you know and serving your community to earn business from them?
I want to say it's kind of a two-folded approach, because I was in my process of burning out, right? Chasing everything. I knew I needed to do something for me to take care of me and help me feel good. And to me, that was my volunteering in the community and just engaging with the people that are like-minded. It allowed me to build relationships organically, and that built my business organically, right? So when I was doing my Pleasure Island Sea Turtle project, there's many hours we're sitting on the beach tending to our nests. So people ask, what do you do? And it's just organic conversations. And then they trust me. They see me as a nest team leader, and they just get to know me. Sometimes people would come to the nest with questions about, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house, right? And of course, I just smile because I didn't do the salesy approach. I was just me.
Yeah, that's really good. And you're involved a lot. in different projects that are important to you. But I'm curious about when you're at one like that. Um, are you systematizing this in some way? Are you doing something like it's more than just sitting at your volunteer project and talking to people? It feels like you've got to go a little bit deeper to get the results you're getting.
That's correct. Yeah, I started using Command, which I'm still learning how to use it at a higher level. And I started tagging people from each group so that I can address certain emails if I want to reach out throughout the year. I can just pull up just my Sea Turtle Project people and address an email to that group. Same thing with events that I do throughout the year. I get a lot of engagement from my clients, my vendors, friends, and family, and I will tag them by the events that they've attended or supported in the past.
That's really smart. All right, so like for this one here, which is this one's really important to you with the nests for the sea turtles, which is a big thing here too. We have them here too in
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, and protecting that space so that they can go through and do what they need to do. I mean, you've been part of that for 6 years, and I think what you go out, do you go out every morning and really help patrol this? Is that right?
I'm a substitute in the mornings at 5:45 a.m. And then the Nest team, once I can join a team, that's 7 days a week, at least 5, 6 o'clock at night.
All right, so these are people that are super passionate about this particular project, or otherwise they wouldn't be showing up at those times.
Right.
And so it makes sense that you'd build relationship there. So if I'm on that team and I'm meeting you out there, somehow in an organic way, what you do is coming up. Either I'm asking you or whatever, which I imagine that's usually, hey, what do you do and stuff like that.
Or I may be wearing a Keller Williams t-shirt.
Okay, good.
There's
But
some
then,
logo and branding. I'll share postcards. I always have them in my bag, even for we're very community driven as far as sharing information with people visiting the beaches, and they wonder why is this group sitting on the beach. And
mhm. It's
sometimes,
meeting people from all over the world, really.
yeah, it's not just my Nest team members, it's everybody visiting the beaches, the coastal area.
Because you're guarding the space to keep
That's
the.
right.
Do they do it like they do here, where they kind of rope it off with the
Yes.
caution tape and stuff? Okay. So, but you're also patrolling to make sure people aren't going in there and being dumb and all that kind of jazz. Okay.
Right, we educate the public.
Of course, 100%. You said it a lot nicer than I did. Okay, but then you meet somebody, and I'm curious about how does it go from this general, what are you doing, or where are you from, or what do you do, to, well, let me put you in my database and tag you and follow up with you. What does that sound like?
So I make sure I answer the turtle questions first to make that my focus. And then once we kind of have hit the end of that particular question, I ask them, do you live here or are you visiting? And I just create the questions there, and they'll say, oh, we're looking at the area. We're thinking about moving here. Of course, you love to hear those words. And so I ask them, oh, are you working with a realtor? And then I just kind of lead into that. And there's usually an exchange of phone numbers. And I'd be like, I would love to share information with you. My favorite tagline is, let me show you why we love where we live.
Mm, that's so good. And so I imagine you've added a bunch of people to the database.
I have.
You put
In
them in
fact, my first
tags, so you
Keller
know how you
Williams.
met. What's
Oh,
that?
sorry about it. I was going to say my very first Keller Williams transaction came from the turtle nest.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you tag them so that then you can communicate with them in an appropriate way.
Correct.
That's really great. And this is not the only organization that you volunteer and support. So you repeat this all the time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Surfrider Foundation is another charity that I love being a part of, helping to build up our coastlines with recycled Christmas trees every year. Every January, we get about a mile permit and we build up the dunes with recycled Christmas trees. And what I love about that is my clients have actually joined in on this, my clients and their kids. And so my engagement and my involvement in the community just continues to grow.
Yeah, you could organize a Christmas tree collection from your database, whatever that process is, right? But you could take what's going on in that organization, share it with your database, get other volunteers or people just to support it. Boy, it just really seems to show your database that you care about your community, and it shows your community you care about people. Like, it's this really good overlap. No wonder your business is exploding.
Yeah, it's really ironic when I look back, because people buy leads, or people are just trying to find their next piece of business, and mine is just growing organically because with that whole work-life balance, I know I need to volunteer because that's when I get the most joy and it fills my heart. And then I share that through social media. I share it through emails. There's flyers. I do events here in the community, and those businesses will advertise for me. And I found that when I do those things in the community, I'm passionate about it, right? But it fills my heart. And so when I'm struggling with my work-life balance, that grounds me.
I'm curious if you see yourself as a community volunteer and then a realtor, or a realtor who's a community volunteer. I'm like, when you get up in the morning, who are you?
I'm a realtor in Wilmington, North Carolina, wondering what the next right thing is. And it's funny you mentioned that, because when I did interview with Keller Williams, I had said to Amanda, I was like, I wish I could volunteer full time and get paid for it. And I mean, 3 years
That's what
later,
you're
I
doing,
guess
though.
I
You're
kind of
volunteering
am.
full time and getting paid for it.
I'm doing it.
That's absolutely amazing. But you had mentioned when we started talking that it has been overwhelming a bit this year. That you've had this big business growth. You did 12 transactions last year and the year before. You're already at 12 this year. So you're on pace. You're going to be in the 20s. You could get to 30. Who knows what might happen? And growth like that can be overwhelming. I'm curious about how you've kind of balanced that, what you've done to figure out how to get through that. What would your advice be to that agent who is growing their business organically but is feeling overwhelmed in that process?
I would have to say I'm going to go back. There was an agent from Maine. I can't remember his name, but he spoke at Mega Camp, and he said, "Go small to go big." And I remember sitting at the training room in our market center, and he said those words, and I wrote it down on my notebook: "Go small to go big." And I did. I was like, just do what you're passionate about. Focus on those big events during the year. And it just has grown, right? So just go do something you're passionate about and jump in and share it with your friends and family and your clients. If you haven't spoken to clients in 2 years, all the more reason to share what you're doing in the community with them. They may be just as passionate and join you, and then talk about solidifying relationships. So I really do think that when I'm out there volunteering in the community, I'm introducing people in the community to their communities. And that speaks volumes for me. And then I just keep sharing it with people. And
How do
then
you balance though what you love and then what it is that funds your life? How have you found this balance between your volunteer work and still running and facilitating a profitable business?
I remember Amanda had told me, like, you have to put your time blocks on your calendar, because if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. When it comes to those passion projects that I have, they're on the calendar.
So it's about following a schedule, and
Mhm.
then you're fitting. This is kind of like what Gary teaches. If I think about what Gary says in the One Thing in other books, he's like, put your time off in, then put your work time in, and that way you're working around your time off instead of trying to squeeze time off in around while you're working. What I'm hearing you say is your community involvement is your number one most important thing. You identify as a realtor who's involved in the community, but you're really a community. You care about your community and you're passionate about your community, and you would do that even if you weren't selling homes for a living.
True.
So this project with the sea turtle nests, you've done that longer than you've been an agent. Is that right?
I've done that since I've been in Wilmington.
Okay, since you've
Yes.
moved to Wilmington, so you've done
Mhm.
that. Then you're involved in many other things. We've got a full list of things that we're not going to go into, but you do lots and lots and lots of stuff in the community. So I'm guessing as you put that blocks those, okay, I'm responsible for being on the beach on this day. Then I'm going to go to this volunteer at this organization. This, like, that's all in, and then you're working the business around that. Is that right?
That's correct.
It
Yes.
sounds pretty simple, but I imagine it might be challenging.
Of course. Of course.
Tell me how you balance it then. How do you make sure that the business happens while you still do all these other things?
Well, I would say that, my 5:45 a.m. showing up at the beach, not a whole lot of business is being taken care of. So that is my private time. And then, if I have clients that want to see houses in the evening, I can stagger when I'm on my nest that night. And a lot of times, some of the other events that I'm doing, they're only a weekend event. So it's not so time consuming. I just do a lot of different events. So my business is definitely being seen. I am an independent agent, and if Amanda could have her way, I'd be using my transaction coordinators and other leverage a heck of a lot better than I'm doing now. But
Well,
I
Amanda
just make
cares
it
about you.
happen. It happens.
Amanda is one of the best team leaders in all of Keller Williams. She's giving you advice because she cares about you, and
Yes.
someday you'll get there, right? I'd give you the same advice. Let's get out of that transaction processing and find a way to leverage that.
Hmm.
And someday you may choose to do that, but you'll do it at the right time. I imagine that you've had some learning lessons, some mistakes, some times that you nailed something and then went, oh shoot. What are some of those?
Learning the systems, I would say, so that it's not so time consuming. If I had a checklist just to follow through everything I needed to do, start to finish with a transaction, I imagine that'd be a heck of a lot easier. I'm still scrambling, but I'm only 3 years into Keller Williams and trying to get through all of the systems and the training and the education. It takes fine tuning, and I am continuing to fine tune every single month.
It is about growing and improving our systems, but you're in that phase right now when the business is exploding like this, is when you start to figure out which systems work, which ones need improvement, which ones need alterations. Now, you're super involved with organizations in the community, but do you host anything? Do you do an event? Do you give back to the community in some way? And if so, what do you do?
So my favorite event of the year is my client appreciation event, and I host that at one of my favorite venues here in town. It's on the riverfront. Best sunsets around. And what I do is I rent the mezzanine in the upstairs portion of the restaurant, and I'll do heavy appetizers, cocktails, client introductions. I have, client gift bags, and it's my one time a year to thank my clients. This past year, I actually brought on a sponsor, so that was really cool. So I'm learning, right? And I'm implementing some of these things and getting support and using leverage. And so my event takes place from 4 to 6. And then from 6 to 10, my favorite band is playing outside on the riverfront deck. And it is just an event that everybody looks forward to each year.
Oh, that's so much fun. All right, so if you were going to give people some pro tips on really being super engaged in the community in a way that works for you, and then using that opportunity to help grow the business, what are some of the tips you would share?
Kind of have some quiet time to figure out what it is that you're passionate about and what brings you the most joy, and then share that joy with others, whether it's your friends, your family, your clients.
It's that simple. Well, I'm proud of you. It seems like you have found your space.
Yeah.
And in this conversation, I hear excitement, I hear anticipation, but I hear relief. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, relief, and also the yearning to want to continue to grow, because I know I have more growth inside of me, and that's all about learning these systems and, maybe having some leverage and, having some support along the way.
And relief in knowing that you don't have to do all of the things. When you get on the call and
Yeah.
hear someone's getting all their business from calling a for sale by owner, you can go, well, I'm not going to do that. That's
Yeah.
not one of your plays. You can take and learn from the system they're running and goes, there's something systematically that I can put in, but I'm not going to call for sale by owners. I'm not going to go and door knock. Like, that's not going to be my strategy.
Yeah. I
You
feel
host
like I,
one
I
event a
have
year. You're
that
not going to
culture
host
now.
10 events a year because you're involved in the community already. Like, I imagine there's some relief there, and yet you're constantly learning.
Constantly learning. And I also feel like my filter has gotten better, where I may hear of a great idea, but I'll be like, not now. Like, put that on the side burner. Take that little nugget that I've learned, but I don't have to implement that now.
I love it. Robin, congratulations to you. I'm proud of you. Thanks for giving back to your community.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the growth of your business. I think we say it all the time that look, go all in on community. Find the way that you're going to give back and support it. We've taught so many different strategies in here. Yours is another one. Robin, I'm proud of you. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you.